Okay, back to the dinim of kibbud avoim. Honoring.
I already have a question.
1 second. Honoring your father and mother. So it says, even if your father and mother were wicked people, sinful people, you still have a mitzvah to honor them and to fear them. Even a mamzer, a legitimate child, also has a mitzvah to honor his parents. And the halacha is like that opinion, even though there's a mitzvah opinion that says no, but the halacha is that you do have to, and you have to treat them respectfully. Now what happens if somebody sees a parent doing an aveda, something which is halachically incorrect? So you're not allowed to tell them, you sinned, you did an aveda, you did something wrong. You have to tell them indirectly. You have to say to them like, didn't we learn in the Torah A, B, C, D that the father should understand it? At least you're not telling the father or the mother directly that you're doing something which is halachically incorrect. That's forbidden to do. So therefore they should say it in a way that the parent understands on their own that he did something wrong and you're not embarrassing them.
So
now what?
Between a rav, if a person has a rav...
Okay, that's later. What happens if your father or mother tell you to do an aveda? Whether it's rabbinic, biblical, positive, mitzvah, whatever it is. Your parent tells you to do something which is halachically incorrect, you're not supposed to listen to them. If your parent tells you to do an aveda, you're not obligated, you're not allowed to listen to them. Now, what's the source of that? Because in the pasuk that says, "Ish imay va'aviv tiro, v'shapseisi tishmeidu," the pasuk says a man should fear his mother and father, and in the same pasuk it says you have to keep my Shabbos. So therefore, the Gemara learns out that because your parents also have to keep Shabbos, if your parents tell you to do something against the Torah, you're not allowed. You don't have to listen to them. Or, therefore you're not allowed to do even rabbinic mitzvahs. Now what happens if your father doesn't get along with somebody? And your father says, I don't want you talking to this guy. I don't want you to forgive him. I don't want you to talk to him. I don't want you to have anything to do with him. The din is, and the son wants to make up with the person and wants to mechela and get... See, again, he's not allowed to listen to the father. Because again, it's a aveda to hate somebody, and the father wants him to hate him, he doesn't want to hate him, and therefore he doesn't have to listen to him. It goes even to another extent. What happens if the Mabit brings down, what happens if a kid wants to move to Eretz Yisrael, and the parents say, no, we don't want you to, what's called today, make aliyah. So the Mabit says, the child also doesn't have to listen to the father. But there's a whole issue over here. I mentioned in the past when Rabbi Gorin was the chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Shlomo Gorin, he was by the Rebbe and he asked the Rebbe if he holds of Aliyah. If he holds of... so the Rebbe answered him, I hold the mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So one of the mitzvahs in the Torah is to live in Eretz Yisrael. So again, he says, what's with Aliyah? And the Rebbe said to him again, I hold the mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So it went on for a few times. Finally, Gorin saw he wasn't getting anywhere with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, I hold the mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. This is relevant to this discussion. There is a mitzvah in the Torah, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, to live in Eretz Yisrael. There's a very, very big argument in halacha if that applies today. According to many opinions, the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael only applies when most of the Jews lived in Eretz Yisrael, or all the Jews, like the first Beis Hamikdash. So then, according to all opinions, there was a mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. But nowadays, that the majority of the Jewish world population doesn't live in Eretz Yisrael. So then, according to many, many poskim, there's no mitzvah, not God forbid, you're not allowed to, I'm saying, but the mitzvah of living in Eretz Yisrael doesn't apply today, according to many poskim. Based on that, so now the question is that therefore if a kid wants to move to Eretz Yisrael today, is that a mitzvah that he doesn't have to listen to the father or not? That's questionable.
How old?
Over bar mitzvah. Okay, or we'll see the next din. What happens? A son wants to learn in a certain yeshiva, but he feels he'll learn better. We're not talking about 5-year-old. And the father doesn't want him to learn in that yeshiva. So the din is, I'll be din, and I'm going to explain this din. The son does not have to listen to the father or mother. Okay? Because the mitzvah of Talmud Torah has precedence over the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Em. And the fact that Rebbe learns a very interesting halacha from the Rambam, there's a rule in Rambam, not only does the Rambam teach us halachos, but where the Rambam puts halacha teaches us something, and how the Rambam puts the halacha teaches us something. The Rambam is very, very precise. There's a din, like we just said, a son wants to learn Torah, and the father says no, he doesn't want him to go there, the din is the son does not have to listen to the father. Now, where should this din be? If you think about it, this din tells the importance of learning Torah. It's not in the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Em. The mitzvah of Talmud Torah is so great that it overrides Kibbud Av V'Em. So where should this halacha be mentioned? In the laws of Talmud Torah. In the laws of learning Torah, the din should say that it's so strong that even if your father tells you no, you don't have to listen to him. Where does the Rambam put this halacha though? In the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Em. Not in Hilchos Talmud Torah. In Hilchos Talmud Torah, the Rambam doesn't say this halacha. Where does the Rambam say this halacha? In the laws of Kibbud Av V'Em, of honoring the parent, the Rambam says that if your father doesn't want you to learn in yeshiva, and you want to learn in the yeshiva because you feel it's better for you to, and I'll explain that in a second what that means, by the way. So the Rebbe says that shows that according to the Rambam, by not listening to the father, you mikayim the mitzvah Kibbud Av V'Em. Because the Rambam puts it in the dinim of Kibbud Av V'Em, it says you don't have to listen to the father, which means it is a din in Kibbud Av V'Em. Now that doesn't mean a kid that wants to get out of the house and he says, okay, that yeshiva is better than I want to learn in that yeshiva. That's not what we're talking about. Talking about a serious situation. The kid wants to learn, not because he wants to get out of the house. He wants to learn and he feels this yeshiva would be more beneficial for me than the yeshiva the parents want him to go to. So then the halacha is you don't have to listen to the parents. But even then, halacha says clearly they should discuss it with Rav and halacha and to see if all the criteria are met, not stammers in the Welt tonight. What's the proof of What's the proof of this? Because Yaakov Avinu was away from Yitzchak altogether 22 years plus 14. He was away from Yitzchak Avinu for 36 years. He was punished for 22 years that he was by Lavan's house. And therefore, because Yaakov was not home for 22 years, Yaakov was punished that Yosef was away from Yaakov for 22 years. What about the 14 years that Yaakov learned in Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever before he went to Lavan? For that he wasn't punished, for the mitzvah Kibbud Av V'Em. Why wasn't he punished? Because he was learning Torah. So therefore, if you're learning Torah, you're not over the sin of Kibbud Av V'Em. But again, this applies only when the child wants to. What did you want, Moshe?
Parents have to pay for that school, the yeshiva.
That's another issue, which, by the way, an interesting halacha. If the kid says, okay, I want to learn this yeshiva, and the parents say, I don't want you to learn in that yeshiva, I want you to learn a different yeshiva, who has to pay for that second yeshiva? So it's not so simple. All the details have to be taken into consideration. Rav has to make a decision if there's a chiyuv for the parents to pay anyway. Or, for instance, there's another din that what happens, a child wants to get married. In Kitzur it says, in Shulchan Aruch it says a son. But in the Neder Yehuda and other poskim, clearly it doesn't matter son or daughter. When it comes to marriage, if a boy wants to marry a certain girl or a girl wants to marry a certain boy, and the parents are against the shidduch, according to halacha, they don't have to listen to the parents. That is what halacha says. But poskim, contemporary poskim, right, and even old from the previous generations, right, that everything of the parents' opinion must be taken into consideration. Because there's a lot of times, kids, wild kids fall in love with a girl, and they know it's not going to last, and the parents are saying no because they understand better. So all these things need to go through a Rav, and this is what it says in halacha. It needs to go through a Rav to paskin if, in this case, the child has a right to make their own decision or not, because many times the Rav will say, no, you have no right to make that own decision because you're basing it on wrong things, and it's not going to last, and so on and so forth. But when push comes to shove, when it comes to shidduch, if a child feels this is a proper shidduch, we're talking about everything good, al pi din, they don't have a son or daughter, they don't have to listen to the parent either. So those are the two things, you don't have to listen to parents. Kibbut ava'im, learning Torah, and shidduchim. But even then we said, poskim right, you do have to take the parents' opinion into consideration. Okay. Then there's another interesting thing. What happens if the boy wants to do a shidduch with a family that would cause the parents shame? It would cause embarrassment to the parents. So then there are many opinions say that you have to listen to the parents. That they cannot do without the parents' permission. They would have to listen to the parents. Bottom line is, in all these things, what it says in halacha, in practical halacha, what's called the fifth Chelik Shulchan Aruch, that you really need to discuss things with proper opinions and understand and speak to everybody involved to be able to make a proper decision. Next. Both a man and a woman are obligated in the mitzvah kibbut ava'im. It's a positive mitzvah not connected to time. If it's not connected to time, women are obligated in it. The only difference is that if a woman is married, because the responsibility comes first to the husband, so then she's not as obligated in the mitzvah kibbut ava'im that the husband would be. But if the husband allows her to do kibbut ava'im, then al pi din she has an obligation to do mitzvah kibbut ava'im even if she's married. But if she's not married, a girl who's not married, whether it's because she was not married yet or widowed, divorced, whatever, she has a mitzvah equal to a man in the mitzvah kibbut ava'im.
We went through those halachos about Friday night. Let's say if they're invited to.
There's nothing to do with this. We're talking.
Giving the chair.
What happens if the husband tells the wife one thing and the father tells her something else? Who do you have to listen to? Bottom line halacha, she has to listen to the husband, not to the father. That's the halacha. Once she's married, she has a responsibility first to the husband. But that doesn't always work. In marriage counseling, in halachic marriage counseling, there's a lot of times the in-laws or the outlaws mix into a marriage of their kids and they make big, massive problems. And then the husband is told that you can't allow your parents to mix into the marriage and butt out, and there's no chiyuv to listen to the parents. Because if the parents are going to ruin shalom bayis, then halacha says they don't have to listen to the parents, and the parents have no right to say anything. But again, all these issues can be very complicated halachic issues that need to be discussed with all angles and all details with proper rabbanim. Yeah, therefore?
That's what the rabbi says. Stick with your wife.
Yeah. We're talking about the wife sticking with the husband.
No, you the vak b'ishto.
Yeah. But again, if the husband allows, which he really should, unless if the parents get in the way, then there's a lot of halachas in these practical cases in today's world, or this existed. You look in shuvas of yesteryear, it's the same thing. A husband tells his wife, I don't want you to go to your parents' house. I don't want you to go. Is she mechuyev to listen to him? Or she says, I don't want you to talk to your parents. Is she mechuyev to listen to the husband or not? So it's not so simple.
Be for the holidays too. You know, the husband wants the family to be home, and you know, she wants to go to her parents.
The Rebbe once told a couple that the first Pesach after the wedding,
Right.
the wife has to go to her parents.
Exactly.
So the Rebbe told a couple once. More than one time. But the Rebbe said that first year after marriage, Pesach, they go to the mother, to the wife's parents. Okay.